Welcome everybody, this is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call with Microsoft speakers happening every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Now with that Microsoft speaker thing, we will explain some changes on that one on summer period within July and August, but I'll come back on that one in a second. Now this is the Tuesday 8 a.m. Pacific time call. My name is Cesar and I'm a Principal Product Manager from Microsoft side. Today, we're going to go through the latest updates and news on the Microsoft 365 Power Platform, so recapping all of the assets which are available for you to get started on understanding how this world actually works on this side or within these technologies. Then we're going to go latest news across Microsoft blogs, and it has been quite quiet week actually on that side. So a lot of vacation apparently and a lot of other changes happening. So that's why there haven't been that many blog posts within the last week. We're going to do a together mode picture today, so please get ready for that one to enable the camera, so we get you in a nice picture. I'll set up the camera and together mode a bit closer this time, so if we can get that to work properly, so we can get the 50 seats full in the room. And then after that, roughly 1:15, we're going to go to the actual demos of today. So Rohith is going to start with Azure AI Search within Copilot Studio. Really exciting capability on there. Matthew will then continue on getting started with the Microsoft 365 Agent SDK and the toolkits. And this is the Microsoft 365 Agent Toolkit, which was announced in build. And then the third demo of today will be with Fabio around SharePoint Hackathon winners. So they built a really cool AI-powered experiences with SPFx as part of the SharePoint Hackathon, and they were the SharePoint Framework Hackathon category winner. And Fabio is going to walk through what that mean in practice and what did they build and how was it working and all of that stuff within the call. Cool. Now, because we do have 3 demos, I'm going to try to be a bit fast again on the intros. Quickly recapping, most of the important URLs in this asset is the YouTube channel. All of the recordings, all of the videos, a lot of guidance is happening within that channel. We do publish more than a one video every single day in that YouTube channel, which is actually against the YouTube algorithm recommendations. But we want to make sure that you get access on the latest and greatest and all of the assets what we're creating. And then the second big URL to remember, or maybe 2 of them, is the AKMS Community Home or Community MS. You'll find all of the other assets from that URL. So that's the one location to remember. Now, we do have quite a lot of these community calls. So this is the Tuesday 8 a.m. Pacific time community call, typically with Microsoft speakers, with certain exceptions. Like today, Fabio is kind of as a hackathon winner things. Tomorrow, next week, we have a similar hackathon winner, week after hackathon winner. And then on July and August, we will have a community takeover on the slot. So historically, this call has been actually on a summer break when it's a summer in the Northern Hemisphere on July and August. But this time we have so many volunteers to showcase what they actually built as part of the Powerful Devs Hackathon, which was the Power Platform focused hackathon, and also the SharePoint Hackathon within the spring. So we have scheduled a lot of demos during July and August. So we will not cancel this call. We will basically just keep on executing throughout the summer period as well. So depending on if you're taking time off, we will be always here. There will be always Tuesday a.m. Pacific call happening throughout this year. Now, on top of this, we have the Power Platform monthly community call with community presenters, of a sudden community call monthly one with Microsoft presenters, and then 7 a.m. Thursday series, which is either Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call or Viva Connection SharePoint Framework community calls. Those are happening or switching their role every single week within the Thursday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So a lot of calls. You're not expected to join all of these. You can join those which are interesting ones for you, or if you want to check out the agenda advance, you can use the meetup service, AKMS Community Meetup, where you can actually see the upcoming calls agendas advance already week before. Great option as well. For a lot of these calls, we actually do welcome community presenters, which is a big part of this community. So community can volunteer for demos, and it doesn't have to be rocket science. We're really looking into seeing how community is building capabilities on top of the technology and products what we as a Microsoft are sharing, or how community is starting to use them. So getting started videos on new features, getting started on things, showcasing what you built, all of that is 100% welcome in this calls, because it's super beneficial beneficial, even for us as a Microsoft employees, to understand how are you using this stuff? What kind of Copilot Studio agents are you building? What kind of SharePoint framework solution you are building, and so on. So please sign up for these things, and we'll get you scheduled. Now, we do have a lot of assets to get started on Power Platform and M365. You'll find all of this stuff from learn.microsoft.com. So a lot of modules and free modules to get started on learning things. We also have a lot of samples available in the AKMS community samples, which is the unified Microsoft 365 Power Platform sample gallery, one single location where you can find samples from Microsoft and community. Super cool location as well. Now, when you find the sample, or maybe you're wondering, or maybe I built something, I want to contribute back, and you would like to have some guidance, and we have that guidance for you. And that's through the Sharing is Caring initiative, and David Warner, directly from LA, is going to explain what is this all about.
Yes, what is it all about? Thank you, Vesa. So, Sharing is Caring is scheduled for June 23rd. Everybody, this is open for registration. We just had one a few weeks ago before we all traveled to Germany. Excited for this next one. It is a live opportunity to learn. Just as Vesa said, we can navigate that labyrinth of GitHub, that hub of Gits, that GitHub hubs, that strange place that you do all those contributions at. We're going to demystify it. We're going to break it down. It's going to actually count as a contribution, and it is a safe space. So we do not record it. You are free to ask any and all questions that you would like without worry of it going on record. Did I ask the wrong question? Did I ask a stupid question? There is no stupid question. So definitely come collaborate, sign up. We'll see you there. Hopefully Todd and Stephanie will be with us, and Hugo will be there. So we're excited for that. It is absolutely a great time. And of course, once you do contribute, just like you will in that session, we want to recognize you. So we've still got our recognition program just renewed with Credly. We've got our fantastic badges, the popular ones like Snippet Sorcerer, Prompt Pro. We've got our React Controls, Modern Search. We've got the list formatting. Of course, we're still in the middle of Star Wars, right, going on, which is fun. And here's a sneak preview, by the way. Oh, Parker, the porcupine. Oh, the font is not working there for some reason. We'll have to figure that out. But it is this is a sneak preview to the Porcupine Rises. This is going to be a superhero season coming up in July, August, September, and October. So we're going to have 5 total badges for you to earn. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have fun with it. It's going to be super cool, and we will check it out when we get a little closer. This is just a little teaser. It is absolutely free. Do need you to opt in, though, in the recognition program, and you can do that absolutely free at ak.ms/community/recognition. That's it. Back to you.
Excellent. David, I just need to call out the Parker is so huge, and it's going to be so massive that it's even overlaying the link behind of the scenes. So
it is. It's taking over everything.
It's taking over everything. No, it's really cool. Really cool. Looking forward on that series as well. And the Star Wars series has been really well taken, and great work on this one. Awesome to see the excitement across the ecosystem. Cool. Let's then move into quickly on the event. So next week, is it next week? I think it's next week. It is next week. European Power Platform Conference happening in Vienna on 16th to 17th of June. So really big place and big conference to meet up other people in the community. So don't miss out. If you still have time, actually go there, which is great venue as well. Now, after that, there's TechCon 365 happening in Seattle, Atlanta, and Dallas starting from June 23rd, so pretty soon as well on that side of the pond, so don't miss out on these options. Then in October, there's the Power Platform Community Conference happening in MGM Las Vegas, the same location where we were with Microsoft 365 Community Conference a few weeks back. Great venue, great location, and Vegas, it's actually super easy to travel because the airport is right next to the Strip and right next to the MGM as well. Now, after that, we have the Microsoft Ignite coming on the week of November 17th, 2025. That's happening in San Francisco, California. We should start getting some news on that one pretty soon because I haven't seen all of the updates yet. And then the last bigger conference this year will be the ESBC, the European SharePoint Microsoft 365 Azure Conference. It has a really long name, but Microsoft 365 AI Security, IT Admin, Business Solution, Modern Work, and much more happening on 1st to 4th of December 2025. And we already know that ECS, European Collaboration Summit, is happening on 5th to 7th of May 2026. So already thinking advanced on 1 year forward. On top of this, there's a lot of other events happening all around the world. So you want to check out HTTPS communitydays.org for all of the different events and all of the different things which are happening all around the world from different locations, from Helsinki, Finland to Edinburgh, Scotland to Atlanta, Georgia, United States. Now, quick recap on the news. So this time we don't have that many updates from Microsoft. So relatively quiet week. Thank you, David, for sharing the news on the chat as well. So if you're interested on double checking what are the latest news related on Microsoft 365 Power Platform, just check the links in the chat or the recording if you're watching this video in YouTube. But then it is before, well, actually it's not. Before we go to the together mode picture, which I already enabled, so you're able to put the camera on if you want to be involved in there. Which I'm trying to actually adjust one more thing. One more thing as I'm thinking. Changing scene. I'm setting up the scene for the together mode picture as well. But a few more slides before that. We also have our Copilot prompt library where we are sharing the Copilot prompts in the different kind of Copilot prompts what people are using to take advantage of the Copilot intelligence and using to learn what kind of prompts we can actually use. And this time the prompt of the week, which is an initiative led by Fabio Williams, we have a prompt from Shrukrika Patil around setting up the Copilot to be a wellness influencer, which is basically then supporting the guidance on how to lose weight and how to actually give you recommendations on the health on the wellness side of the world. Now, really good example of potentially an agent prompt which would be useful. So maybe we could actually create a agent wellness influencer agent, which can then help you to be more thoughtful and healthy, maybe in your recommendations. But really good example of a prompt, how to adjust the Copilot behavior. But then before we go to the actual demos and starts of today, right on the schedule, let's do a quick group photo. So I will do this in this way. So we do have 50 seats in the room. If you open up the camera, you will get on the picture as well. I will put myself there as well. Stephanie in the front row as well. Well, I'm no longer in front row because April is in the front row. So let me start Camtasia. Now it's actually picking up. We're getting a lot of people. This is really good. We do have 50 seats in the room. We are not yet recording. We're going to start recording in a second. Yes, this is working. This is working. 50 seats, 50 seats. Few more. Let's wait a few more seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Before we start actually recording, I can say Richard on the third row, Fabio on the back. Let me actually start recording. 3, 2, 1. Let's do some hand waving, everybody. Thank you for being part of the community. Awesome to have you here. We'll capture you in the GIF animation and share it in social media. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being part of the community. Super appreciated for you in this call as well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Always good to see familiar faces and new faces in these calls as well. Now, then it's time to go to the actual starts of today, and we are right on schedule. So we start with Rohith, then we go to Matthew, and then Fabio as the last demo of today. But Rohith, I can see you on the call. I think you are ready to go. So you can start with a screen sharing, and then we'll move forward from there.
All right. Thank you. And first of all, it's such amazing to see so much a great community join, and I'm so excited to share all of the work we've been doing in Copilot Studio to enhance it with knowledge like Azure AI Search. Thank you, everyone. Let me begin. Okay, that is my agent, not the screen I wanted to go to, but
either way.
Yeah. All right, so today, thank you. We are going to talk about Azure AI Search in Copilot Studio. Seamlessly integrate Azure AI Search Enterprise Search into your Copilot Studio. And my name is Rohith. Like I told you, I'm from the Copilot Studio knowledge team. So we are the people responsible for enabling knowledge sources like Azure AI Search, Salesforce, ServiceNow, SQL, files, you name it. You have so many knowledge sources which you can connect to Copilot Studio and ask it to reason over that particular data. So if you see any issues, you know who to point fingers at. So before I go and connect Azure AI Search to Copilot Studio, this is a question I had in my mind when I started taking over this project. What is Azure AI Search? It's AI search. Is it Azure, right? So I like very simple explanations. So I'm just going to do that for this. And obviously this is credited to Copilot. So if you imagine that you're in a giant library filled with all sorts of books, pictures, and even videos. I don't know how pictures and videos can get into a library, but let's just assume that for now. If you want to find something, for example, in this case, the tallest dinosaur, you have to just go search everywhere in all of the sections and find that particular thing. That's obviously very troublesome for one person to do. So that's what Azure AI Search does. So you have this kind of a robotic butler who is standing in front of you at the desk, and I ask it, yeah, I'm looking for books, videos, images on the tallest dinosaur. Can you go look it up for me? Right? And it looks up that particular thing and it finds and it gives it back to you. It's similar to whatever search you have seen, Google search, Bing search, anywhere. So it is a search service, but let's dive a little deep into what it actually does to find that sort of information. So the first thing it does is actually it goes through all of the things very, very quickly and it finds the top result using a re-ranker. I don't have that stuff here. I'm just trying to keep it simple for the slides. Yeah, so it re-ranks the results and it finds that exact information using the search query. The second is it actually understands meanings. So if you know something about keyword search and how it used to work back in the day, which is obviously still prevalent, but for Azure AI Search, it actually uses two unique technologies. So one is vector search. I'll get into what vector search is in the next slide. And the other is semantic search. So when we say semantic search, it basically means it understands the meaning behind it. Oh, you're talking about a tall dinosaur. So let me understand the meaning and just like exactly go to the point where that can be found. Right. So yeah, and as it says here on the slide, it's not just about the size, but like what does tall mean? Is it biggest? And so on and so on. So it's able to interpret that search and translate into a response where it clearly understands that stuff and able to pull the information from it. Yeah, and the last thing is it actually works with all kinds of information, whether it's a picture, a video, or you call it a structure, table, or anything that has information about the tall dinosaur. So it's that simple for Azure AI Search. And the unique thing about Azure AI Search specifically is that this was actually built with all of the AI use cases in mind. So this is not like a legacy product which is coming from a long time ago, but this was specifically built for AI use cases like building chat agents, autonomous agents, and so on. So the functionality Azure AI Search supports is actually directly related or directly applicable to the AI use cases we have today. But going a little bit more technical for the folks who are technical, right? So if you look at how Azure AI Search actually works under the hood, so first of all, you will have a data source, right? All of that content might be images, videos, structured information, JSON objects. It has to sit somewhere. Might be in your file storage. It might be in your databases. We have certain types of knowledge sources that support Azure AI Search. So some of them are listed here, obviously. So example, blob storage, ADL SV2, Azure SQL database, Cosmos DB, and there are a lot more as well. So you take this database and you then connect it to Azure AI Search to start the file cracking. And what does that mean? So then you connect the database to Azure AI Search. It kind of gets all the files and then it chunks them into small passages. So you gave me 10 long PDFs. It'll be very hard for me to go through search through 10 PDFs. So what I'll do, what Azure AI Search is thinking that it'll do is I'll chunk it into different pieces. So 10 PDFs are now maybe 100 different chunks. Each PDF was chunked into 10 pieces, right? And once it chunks that PDF into whatever X amount of number or 100 in this instance, it then vectorizes it. And what do I mean by vectorize it? So in the chunk, which came from the PDFs, there are obviously letters and words. So for each word or each letter, it actually assigns a mathematical value. What do I mean by mathematical value? So it can be any number. It just gives mathematical values and assigns it and puts it in an index. And I'll tell you what happens when the search actually happens, right? So all of that mathematical values are actually stored as part of a vector DB. It's called it's a kind of a new fancy database, right? And when I perform any sort of search, for example, show me the tallest dinosaur from all of the books, photos, and videos, the search query, the query which I asked Azure AI Search is translated into mathematical values, and it's then compared to the vector embeddings which it has created in the index. So it's basically a lot of math and basically a lot of advanced stuff to get the results we wanted. But trust me, the search query or the search performance it gets is one of the best things I've seen in the AI world today. So yeah, so Azure AI Search is now supported in Copilot Studio. So you can go to Copilot Studio, and if you already have your pre-built indexes in Azure AI Search, you can directly connect them to Copilot Studio and ask Copilot Studio agents to reason over your own data instead of looking at web search, right? And these are some of the new features we've released for Azure AI Search. For example, in the initial phases, we were only supporting vector embeddings and vector indexes, but now, like my previous example, we are going to support hybrid search with semantic ranker. That means we can also understand meaning now. Don't need to depend on those mathematical numbers or embeddings. The second is a connection creation experience. How easy is it for you to go and connect with Azure AI Search? New auth support. You can preview index details. Oh, is this the right index I'm connecting to? A lot of people have that question, so we made it easier to preview those index details. We've offered VNet support now. This has been one of the biggest feature requests we've had from a lot of customers. And the final one is improved citation experience, which is literally my personal favorite, and I'll get to that in the actual demo. So quickly moving on to the demo, right? This is a scenario we're going to look at today. And this is what you need to use Azure AI Search. You need an endpoint URL and you need an admin key. It's actually found in the Azure portal. I'm not going to open Azure portal today, but I'm just going to walk you through how it works when you create an agent. So yeah, the scenario is this. I'm a new employee. I've joined Microsoft. I've actually literally joined Microsoft a little while ago. Not very interested to share the time, but yeah. So on the first day, like what does an employee start with? And there are a lot of questions in my head. So let's see if Azure AI Search connected in Copilot Studio can help me answer those questions as I navigate my first day. I'm going to stop sharing for a brief second because I want to enter the admin key and URL. Once I enter that, I'm just going to start sharing again. Yeah, I'm just going to walk you guys through the agent creation experience, Azure AI Search, or platform community. And that's not very good information, but let's see if it is able to name the agent. Yeah, it's not. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we have our agent name. Let's create a new agent. All right. So once you create the agent, this is the page you are going to come to. Doesn't matter depending on whatever knowledge source or whatever you want to do. This is a simple process. If you go to create, you see that flow, which I just showed you. You can just tell the agent what you want to build and it automatically comes and lands you on this page. So this is where you have the knowledge tab. You don't need to click on it, but if you can scroll down a little bit, you will see something called as add knowledge. And by this page, what it means is the agent as it is today or right now, as you see on the screen, is something that doesn't have a connection to any of your own data, but it's going to reason over web data and it's going to give you general responses. And if you wanted to answer questions on your particular information, you have to add some sort of knowledge and you have to connect the agent to your information or your data. So if I click add knowledge, you're going to see so many data sources. Kudos to all of my team members who have been working extremely hard to make some of this possible. So yeah, so you can see Azure AI Search here. I'm going to click on Azure AI Search. Okay, my connection is already created, so it's going to pull up the indexes. I'll just show that to you for a brief second. But generally, if you don't have a pre-existing connection like I did, you will just come to this screen, right? So here is the authentication method I was talking about. So access key is a general one, which a lot of customers use. If you have Microsoft Enter ID, you can use Microsoft Enter ID. That's probably the easiest one. But here is where you'll be entering the details to connect to your index, right? And this is where I'm going to stop sharing. Yep. So once you enter those details, this is a page you will land. Trust me, this is a page you'll land. And these are all of the indexes I have in my Azure AI Search, right? And I'm going to start with the first one here. So if you click preview index details, you are going to see how many documents it has. Is it vectorized? The vectorized is the mathematical values I was talking about. The semantic configuration means the understanding part I was talking about. And you can just click add. Yeah, it's just one click process to add this stuff, and that's a little thing which we made simpler throughout the last 3 months. I'm really glad that this is working well. So yeah, once you've added Azure AI Search, you have your agent, you have your orchestration, and in the knowledge, it's showing the Azure AI index I've added, and it's showing it's ready now. That means you can just start asking questions. I'm just going to go to the settings tab and see if there is something I need to turn off, because it sometimes messes up. Yeah, we should just turn off general knowledge, because it's going to pick general knowledge if that's turned on. Okay, I think we're good to go. All right, so this is what happened for me on the first day when I joined Microsoft, right? Okay, like I got my laptop, what do I do? So how do I connect to Wi-Fi? Oh, okay, that's pretty good. The demo worked today. So yeah, so if I say how do I connect to Wi-Fi, so what a lot of companies are doing, and I'm obviously stepping out of my role as a new person joining scenario for a little second. So a lot of companies, what they do, or what they are interested to do with Azure AI Search is they have all of these knowledge bases in their company. They want to take it and they want to create these indexes, and they want to build an agent out of it, right? So that every employee in the company can ask a bunch of questions, from ServiceNow tickets, from how to connect to Wi-Fi, and like you name it, right? You can think of anything that you can ask, and it's possible with Azure AI Search. So this is something, a knowledge article, which was in my ServiceNow, and I took it from ServiceNow, I inputted into Azure AI Search, and now I'm asking this question, how do I connect to Wi-Fi? And it is able to give me a correct answer. How do I know it's a correct answer, right? So if I click on the reference, it's not what I wanted to do. If I click on the reference, it actually opens the file which it picked from the index. And trust me, these indexes at any points of time can have 50,000 files, right? So you can put 50,000 or 100,000 files into an index, and when you ask a question, it has to pick the right file and the right chunk and the right content out of it. So that's incredibly hard, but it does it so well, right? And the PDF thing, which I just showed you, the citation thing, right? So you can configure this in a very secure way. And by that, I mean, for example, if I'm asking this question, how do I connect to Wi-Fi? And it is able to give me the citation, and I'm able to open this link to navigate to the PDF. That's amazing. If there is something like a document which I don't have access to, it will not give me a response, even if I would receive a response, which some customers have parts of the PDF chunk where I have access to. So I will receive a response, I will see the citation, but when I click on it, I will just error out. You cannot access the document because you don't have access to it based on the organizational policies set, right? So yeah, it's extremely secure as well to build whatever you want. So I've asked it one question. I just want to go ahead with my day, and VPN was something very new for me when I joined Microsoft. Like I know what VPN is, but I've never used one for my office purposes. So I'll just ask it, how do I connect to VPN? It's taking its time. Okay. All right. Yeah. So as you can see, it's pretty seamless. It doesn't with no hiccups actually. So yeah, I've been in this team for some time now, and I've tried out all of the other products, and trust me, the level of complexity and the level of reliability Azure AI Search offers, I think no one else can match at this point, and I'm really glad that I have the opportunity to work on this. So again, if I click on the reference, I can just go to the citation, and as you can see, it's actually picking the data from the right PDF and the right chunk. You will be able to verify that as well. Yeah. Are we up for time?
Yes, we are closing up on the time. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this has been a good introduction, and yeah, good start for helping you guys understand what Azure AI Search means. How do you connect it with Copilot Studio? and what it can do, basically. And I'm glad I got this opportunity to present in front of all of you people. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Rohith, on that one. And you're more than happy to get you back, so you can come back and do more advanced scenarios in the future. The call is definitely open for you. So really cool. Then we have Matthew Barbour to talking about Microsoft 365 Agent SDK. We are right on schedule. If you go a few minutes long today, no worries about that one. But Matt has also 15 minutes on his schedule.
All right, all. My name is Matt Barbour. I actually wear a couple of hats in the organization. I am the development manager for the Copilot Studio. Actually, I should say that differently. I am the development manager for the Microsoft 365 Agents SDK, and I'm also one of the architects responsible for the Pro Developer ecosystem for the Power Platform. So those of you that have seen me around the SDK for Power Platform, I've had a lot of influence in there and that sort of thing. They've brought me over to the Copilot Studio side to help build the Microsoft 365 Agents SDK. This is something we've been doing for a while. We talked a little bit about it at Ignite. And then we have now released it for general use in 3 languages. Right now, the first language is the first and most complete language is .NET, which is what I'm going to show today. It's also my home language. But we also have our JavaScript implementation and our Python implementation literally on the heels of this walking out the door. JavaScript has actually got a couple of internal partners that are actively using it. And the Python implementation, surprisingly to me, has a lot of interest and a lot of folks coming in. So we're finishing off some stuff in the user authorization layer, and then we'll be making that freely available out on PyPy. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start flipping through this. There's a bit of information about this as we move through. This is a little different than what we're going to show from the point of view of Copilot Studio. In the Power Platform and on the Power Platform ecosystem, we typically talk specifically about low-code or no-code solutions. The Microsoft 365 Agents SDK is actually completely the opposite. It is a pure code solution. It is all about development. It is all about building an agent your way and working with it your way. It is something that is designed to enable the ecosystem to come together. So the Azure AI Foundry feature sets, the OpenAI feature sets, Google's, Amazon's, and on to allow us to integrate them together and then surface them within the Microsoft ecosystem and then expose them wherever they need to be exposed within the ecosystem. So it's focused on a set of core capabilities and core features. So first off, I'm going to go through a little bit of marketing slides and we'll actually get into the cool stuff. The way in which we organize an agent as we develop, and this is consistent throughout the entire ecosystem at Microsoft. So the AI Foundry agent infrastructure is built this way. The Copilot Studio infrastructure is built this way. The M365 self-hosted or bot-hosted infrastructure is built this way, where we have this concept of a user experience that's an optional layer. We think of these as clients. On top of that or underneath that, we have an orchestrator. The orchestrator's job is to take the prompt and the other information that you have, create a plan based on knowledge sources and tools, and then execute that plan to return data to you. You saw that in just the previous demo here where there was a question asked. The knowledge source that was used in this case was AI search. It in turn parsed that, interacted with a couple of LLMs, and in turn returned you a result. Okay, this takes the form of lots of different things. You can have a single turn operation. A lot of APIs work this way, where you take something like semantic kernel and slap it into a function and have it just return an API call, single turn transaction. And then there are multi-turn transactions where there is the scenario where I have to ask for clarification, or the orchestrator needs to clarify something along the way in order for it to feel that it has properly answered your question. Okay, so we're going to move on. And we're going to talk a little bit about what the Agent SDK brings to this picture. Now, the Agent SDK essentially encompasses that whole infrastructure, providing a couple of core capabilities to anyone that's building agents. We provide authentication support. Now, by authentication support, that means that a client can acquire an authentication token from a user and provide that to the agent. So you can act as the agent. Now, this is super important when interacting with M365. It's very important when interacting with Copilot Studio and a lot of other Microsoft technologies where, while yes, you can use service principals, you can act as a service, At the end of the day, if you actually can act as the user, you have more capability and you have the ability to act on behalf of the user. The second thing that we provide in the Agent SDK is conversation management or session management or thread management, depending on which technology stack you're coming from. At the end of the day, what this is describing is the collective set of transactions that are wrapped around a given conversation interaction event with a customer that could be spread across multiple nodes within your agent platform. Most demos that you see show just a little snippet of code, but when you actually need to turn that into reality, that becomes a hosted service or a shared service. There's multiple nodes with a load balancer that sits behind it. There has to be a way that the agents themselves can share state amongst themselves so that a request being processed by one agent can be easily processed by another copy of that agent within the same cluster. The conversation management infrastructure we provide gives you that capability. And then channel adapters. So those of you that have been around our ecosystem for a while know that we have a common protocol that we use for communication between pretty much all of our agents inside the Microsoft ecosystem, which is called the activity protocol. The activity protocol is our internal language. It's our agent-to-agent language. It's our internal communication. And actually, we make it available publicly. It's spec'd and documented publicly. And we surface that through a set of channel adapters. So if we need to talk to Slack, which has its own language, or we need to talk to Discord, or we need to talk to someone else's technology stack, we have the means to take that and translate that while managing the conversation aspects, the authentication aspects, and then handing it back to the orchestrator that you've brought to the ecosystem. So what does this look like a little bit more pictorially? Organizationally, you can see this as a set of tiers. At the very top of this experience here, you have a set of channels. So in this case, I'm surfacing M365 Web Chat, Slack, or other channels hosted through the Azure Bot Service. Now, the Azure Bot Service acts as our persistent channel broker. You can think of this like Microsoft Service Bus or Event Grid or something of the nature where you're standing up an endpoint that the downstream clients can communicate with consistently and store and forward those events out to your nodes, your Agent SDK nodes within your infrastructure. The Agent SDK at that point wraps around a set of orchestrator services or AI services or other such services, making the conversation state, the authentication tokens and whatnot available to you. The Agent SDK also has the ability to directly communicate with Copilot Studio. We'll see that in a later demo, not today, but in a later demo. And Copilot Studio has the ability to directly talk to Agent SDK nodes running around. Those folks that were asking about the Agents tab, you'll see an M365 Agent SDK in there. That's the capability where the Copilot Studio can communicate directly with Agent SDK hosted agents. After they can talk to each other, and they can talk to other clients who implement the activity protocol easily. Now, this is all wrapped around and working with what we now call the Microsoft 365 Agents Toolkit. Now, the Agents Toolkit is available in Visual Studio, which is what we're going to see today. It's also available in Visual Studio Code. The .NET implementation currently only shows up in Visual Studio. That is something we are working to change. We will hopefully have the .NET implementation showing up through VS Code sometime in the fall. That's the plan. We'll see how it works out. And inside the VS Code experience, we of course have JavaScript and Python. Okay, so I think I've gotten through all of the architecture, position setting slides. Awesome. Let's actually go look at code. So give me just a moment. Let me shift gears. And let's look at code. All right. So can folks see the code? Everybody see the screen? Just double checking.
Okay.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. So what I'm looking at right here is Visual Studio. I have a Visual Studio project that I've selected. In this case, I'm choosing the Microsoft 365 Agents project type, which then brings me into my typical project development experience. I'm going to just go ahead and click Create. And I get to choose a set of different kinds of agents. Now, the Agents Toolkit, the Microsoft 365 Agents Toolkit has a bunch of different functions. We've aggregated a bunch of agent-related things together. So the ability to build A function service is here. The ability to build a message extension for Teams, which could be used as part of an agent, is here. The ability to build standalone agents is here. The ability to create declarative agents for the M365 ecosystem is here. Those folks that want to create agents for the declarative agent structure for Copilot Studio, right now you've got to use the extension that we've shipped separately called the Copilot Studio VS Toolkit extension. And you can find that out on VS Code's extension marketplace. And that lets you do declarative stuff for Copilot Studio. The goal, of course, is to try to get this all aggregated into one thing. Schedules being what they are, we ship things a little independently just so that we could get things out the door more quickly. All right, so I'm going to start with something super primitive. As I scroll down here, I'm just going to start with your standard Echo agent. Now, whenever you're working with an Agent SDK, or whenever you're working with an agent that you're actually going to connect to the world, you have to think about something that way back in the old days, because I'm old, we used to call dial tone. For those of you that are too young to remember, what dial tone is when there used to be this handset thing that you'd pick a phone up and stick it to your ear, and there'd be a tone that indicated that there was power to the device and that it was connected to the network. We call that dial tone in the telco world. And the EchoBot wrapper is intended to support, there you go. The EchoBot wrapper is intended to support dial tone and initially act as a bootstrap to get your environment up and working. So I just started this project. I'm going to do nothing else, and I'm just going to click run. So I just click the start button. The project is going to go through the build process, and you're going to see a UX pop up here in a moment, a web page, which we call the M365 Playground. The M365 Playground is the new version of, those of you that have been around the bot framework, this is the new version of the bot framework emulator. This is a component that we've worked with the Teams organization, we work with the DevDiv organization, and we've made this now multi-channel. We've brought in, so we can simulate multiple channels. We've brought in authentication support for it. We've brought the telemetry and diagnostic capabilities into it that we had in bot framework. So we've improved that. So as you can see, it woke up, said hello and welcome. Hi there. And we've got an interplay working. No lights, no sound, no nothing. I didn't have to do anything. I've got a status stream rolling here in the background that's telling me what's going on, and I can communicate with my agent. Now, this is my basic lights on. I can communicate with my agent. That's neat. Doesn't really do anything except echo back. So now let's go, and I'm going to grab something I've already pulled apart. So what I have here is a sample that I borrowed from the semantic kernel team. Now, those of you that pay attention to models and new orchestrators that come out in the market often see companies come out and say, look how cool our model is. We can ask it a question and it'll give us a response. And you see a snippet of code that generally looks like, something like that. And that is the extent of the snippet of code that you see. Okay. When you roll back and you actually then go look at that project to see what's going on in that project, you then end up seeing things like, okay, well, there's this prompt that you gave it. Sometimes they show you that in a file and they're importing it from a file. And then you see that there's a set of plugins over here. In this case, there's a forecast plugin that's communicating up to, in this case, open weather to get real data back. And then you eventually run into a program. Now, you're going to see this in JavaScript, Python, the whole 9 yards. You'll always see this kind of wrapper around that basic sample. But this, at the end of the day, as I hit F5, is a demonstrator that opens up a console that invokes semantic kernel, communicating with Azure OpenAI, and using open weather to answer a question. So simple, straightforward question. Okay, what's the weather in Seattle? You can see that it's giving me a little bit of status update. It's coming back saying, that's cool. I'm going to get the current weather, and here's the result. So how did it say looking for the current weather and fetching data back to my console? If we hop back over to our weather plugin, we can see there's a console write line. Well, that's awesome. It's writing to the console. Not super useful if I now want to make this available through, say, my own web chat or Teams or something else. Okay. But it gets me started. So let's also talk about the way it's returning. Now, right now it's returning data as just a text block. Okay, that's kind of cool. Now, one of the things that a lot of folks don't realize is that OpenAI and many others can actually speak adaptive card. You don't have to provide an adaptive card for that. You can just ask it to render it as an adaptive card. So here I've got two prompts. I modified this prompt to actually tell it to return it as an adaptive card. And when it returned it as an adaptive card, give me this link. And I've got a little handy dandy little switch here to turn it on. True. So I don't have to copy and paste prompts around. And we're going to restart. And let me just actually clean that and restart it there so we don't see the ghost. There we go. What is the weather in Seattle? Same question. Okay. So again, there's our looking up, there's our fetching, and it splat out an adaptive card. I didn't tell it to do that. Semantic kernel told it to do that. And OpenAI and the GTP4o model that this is sitting on generated that adaptive card. Now that's cool. That's awesome. Now let's actually turn it into something that I can use outside of my little demo experience. So I want to draw your attention to the agents, the plugins, and the program file. Okay. This process took me about 15 minutes to do. I'm not going to do it here on the call, but if anybody wants to actually see me do this at some point, I will actually do a YouTube video showing exactly how I took that and brought it in. So I took that semantic kernel example here with my program. Here's where I'm building my, here's where I'm instantiating my semantic kernel and adding the Azure OpenAI chat completion to it. Here's where I established my service collection. This is where I built my weather agent. I established my chat history. I wrote my initial console prompt, and then I invoked it. Okay, that's my original semantic kernel sample. I'm going to come over here to my Agents SDK, which started with EchoBot. I actually just used the EchoBot template. And in my program file, as you can see, I've now copied over, well, there's the instantiator for the Azure OpenAI instance, because I had to modify that just a bit because of the way that the agent works. The kernel is here. This is all boilerplate from the template. This is all boilerplate from the template. And if I come over to my EchoBot, inside my EchoBot, I've now added two route handlers. So now this is something that's the way that the Agent SDK operates. We operate on a concept called route handlers. The route handler concept essentially allows you to accept a request, create a filter on that request, on activity of type message, send it here. But I could say on activity, where text is or where content has, and on and on and on. I have a complete capability to filter the various kinds of artifacts that are coming into my request and then route that to a message handler. Now, my message handler can also have sign-in handlers. I'm not going to show it to you in this time frame. I don't have enough time to dig into it completely, but we can actually pass in sign-in handlers to this that will allow us to land in that handler with a user access token that we could use. So here I've set up my route handlers. So when anybody joins this, send them a welcome message. And in the welcome message, I'm going to give that piece of text that we splat out on the console. Then anytime sends me a message, I'm going to drop in, build my service collection. I'm going to create my chat history. And because I want my chat history to be persisted for the conversation in case there's a clarification, I'm actually going to store that using the turn state, allowing me to store that in the background state. So create it or pull it from turn state. I then create my weather agent, just like I did before. And then I invoke my weather agent, just like I did before. The difference now happens here, where instead of writing this out to the console, we either send it back as text, or we send an error back as text, or we send the result back as text. Now, there's some stuff that's grayed out here. We'll see that in just a minute. Okay, so just to confirm, I'm going to pop over and expand my agents folder. There's my agent copied directly across. I'm going to drop down into my plugins folder. And I've modified this. You can see here that we passed in the turn context now. And I've modified this to actually send my status as a send activity. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start. Boot it up. Here's our playground again, just like we saw with our Echo agent. And there you can see right at the top, just like I saw in my console application, there's some text. I'm going to go, what is the weather in Seattle? And just like with my console, there's my 2 status updates and then my result. That's kind of cool. Let's actually now see this running in web chat. So this is the ABS, Azure Bot Service instance. I've refreshed it. There it is now. You can see the console in the background scrolling along just to prove that it's actually doing what I'm saying it's doing and it's not hiding off someplace else. Let's minimize this. And I say, what's the weather in Seattle? Off it goes. It's now communicating to my agent. There, I'm getting that same response. You know, let's go look at it in Teams. And there we go. Okay. 3 different channels, 3 different responses. Now, this isn't great because of the way this is working. I don't like the way that works. It's kind of ugly. So let's now take advantage of a scaling capability that we have in the Agents SDK that is channel aware. So I'm going to hit the stop button here. I'm going to go back to my Agents project, my actual Agents project here, and I'm going to enable this use streaming capability, okay? So when I use streaming capability, when I turn that on, you're going to see the big difference is those gray areas switched. And now I'm using turn context streaming response. Okay, again, this is a capability that's in the agent. I showed it to you one way. I wanted to show it to the other way because if I just show it to you using the streaming response, you actually can't really tell on the other end what it's doing. So here I'm going to restart it again. Because our Agents Playground is set up and designed to work with the Agents SDK, and in this case, it's acting as a streaming aware channel. If I say, now I have a different kind of experience happening. I have some text streaming, and then it drops down into this experience and shows me this. Now, again, I'm just showing that experience. If I pop over here and go back to my web chat experience and I ask the same question. Let's change it up. So weather in Dallas. Notice now we actually get a typing indicator. Why? Because the web chat component doesn't support streaming. The Agent SDK is aware of the capabilities of channels. And if the channel supports streaming, it will use streaming, and if it doesn't, it won't. Okay, so again, coming back into Teams, and I go back to this, and I ask it again. And once again, we're using streaming to do that response. Now, that's kind of cool. I'm going to show you one more channel that's kind of neat. I'm going to go on here, and here I am in Copilot Studio. I'm actually in the M365 experience here. I'm going to do @agent demo builder here, and I'm going to ask it a question in Dallas. And here again, we have that same streaming response capability now surfacing through this area. How did I do this? How did I actually make all of that work? What's the secret sauce rolling in the background? Again, coming back to the diagram I showed you a moment ago, the Agent SDK is routing things through the Azure Bot Service, which is acting as our channel manager in this case. So the Agent SDK client itself is channel aware and communicating to the agent, communicating to the upstream clients through ABS. ABS is what is advertised those endpoints to those clients, which means that I have got 3 different client registrations pointing at the same endpoint with 3 different channels, which in turn allow the Agent SDK to react appropriately to whichever channel it's communicating with through this one endpoint. How am I doing this on the dev? Running this on my dev workstation? We're using a dev tunnel, and we're communicating through dev tunnels, which is a capability that is provided by the Agents Toolkit. It's also stuff that you can use outside the Agents Toolkit. So for any given request, I can actually see what was sent in and what that communication was, as well as any headers with authentication tokens and any response that it sent back to those particular requests. Okay, this is the Agents SDK. This is the introductory to it. As far as where to go to get started, to start playing with this, you can get started with this by two places. You can either go over to GitHub. By the way, this is all open source. We don't charge for this. I want to be very clear. We actually don't charge for the Agent SDK. The Agent SDK is free to use. However, you do have to pay for the downstream services. So anybody's service that you're using, you do have to pay for. Those are licensed. You can get the source code or get started at the Microsoft Agents SDK. You can find the packages on NuGet, NPM, and right now TestPy. And if you want to start at our Learn site, that is it right there. Just search for Microsoft 365 Agents SDK, and you'll land on our Learn site. And hopefully I'm on time.
Thank you, Matt. A bit over time. All good. You got a bit carried away on but the great demo, awesome stuff, really, really good stuff on coverage. And for anybody who's watching, we do have this call recorded. So if you need to stop on the hour, it's okay. Fabio will go a bit longer, but you can catch the recording later on in YouTube. So all good. And Matt will be back actually next week and week after as well on a bit more detailed on awesome technical implementation in the Agent SDK. So thank you, Matt, on that one advance. Now, Fabio, I know that your call, you are aware of going a bit long today, but we were chatting on the side. But all good.
You see my screen?
Yep, I can see the screen. And Fabio, don't rush. If you go a bit long, it's okay. It's better to have a nice isolated video out of this as well. So take your time. Okay. If somebody needs to drop, they can catch the recording later on. All good.
Yeah, okay. So thank you for having me today. So I'm here to present the solution that won the SharePoint Hackathon for this year. For the category of course, SharePoint framework. So the project is the AppV dashboard. Basically, the AppV dashboard, it's a complex web part that we are developing inside AppV Solutions. That is my company. I'm the CEO of AppV Solutions. And basically, this web part, it's an dashboard that have the possibility to add some widgets that will be, of course, added in the future that are configurable. And basically, at this time, this kind of widget are concentrating on integrate the personal data of the users that work inside the tenant. The idea of this kind of dashboard, it's not only to show personal data, but work with this personal data by using AI. So we added AI to this web part, and today I'll show you in which way. We use SharePoint framework as the framework to create, of course, the web part, but we use also Azure function, and we use LangChain.js to interact with the Azure AI Foundry models. At this time, we use GPT-4 or Mini, but we can change, of course, with any large language model that we want. The idea is, again, that the users are able to personalize the workspace by adding and manage all the widgets that is available at this time. Because we are created on a web part with SharePoint framework, we are able to integrate this web part not only into a SharePoint portal, like an intranet, but we add the web part as a Teams app or inside the Copilot portal, or, for example, inside Outlook. So this is just on a slide that explain and show how the web part works, but later I'll show you into the demo. Basically, the user are able to personalize the dashboard by change the configuration. So add the widget, change the configuration of the widgets, rearrange the widgets, and so on. We have at this time an inbox, agenda, tasks, to do, my file, power apps, and embed page as widgets, but the system are implemented in a way that we are able to extend with some code or in a low code mode the web part by adding new widgets. Of course, the dashboard, it's completely responsive. So the idea is that we have some columns and the user are able to change the dimension of the widget. But if we resize the page, we are able to change completely the layout and then make the web part responsive. Also, because the web part, so the dashboard is personal, every widget could be personalized by the current user, and these settings it's saved for each users by using the apps folder in OneDrive by saving an JSON file. But the cool part is the AI-powered feature that we added. Basically, the idea was to simplify the organization of the daily work for the users, because we are able to access to the inbox, we are able to access to the agenda of today, the tasks, and the to-do. And the idea was to collect all this information in client side and then send this information by using some into the backend, by using some Azure function to use AI to manipulate and then extract information to this data. The idea is that with this feature, we are able to generate an overview of the daily work of the user by match the emails that the user have in the inbox, the agenda of today, and the task that they have to complete. And then we are able to go deeply on emails analysis, agenda analysis, and tasks analysis to have more information by using AI. Again, the technology stack, it's SharePoint Framework, Azure Function, LangChain, and Azure AI Foundry. The idea is that we use in the client side the PMP.js to bring the information from SharePoint and the Graph API, and then we send this information as a JSON payload to our Azure function implemented in Node.js using LangChain, and then return this generated data by AI to the client. So the server doesn't have access to SharePoint data or Graph API in any way. This make this kind of solution more secure because we work just with the delegate permission of the current user. So it's the demo time. And I want to show you the first part, the first demo. It's the web part inside and a vertical section inside, of course, SharePoint. This is a simple configuration that you can use the web part, the dashboard, as an entry point for the user into the internet to have personal information. But because we use SharePoint Framework, we can have the same web part as a Teams personal app, or have the same inside Outlook, or the same application without doing nothing inside the Microsoft 365 Copilot portal. So the user, as already seen into the slide, are able to change the settings, for example, are able to drag and drop and make the changes of the position of the widget, or of course are able to add from a widget catalog the widget that they want to add. There are some widget that it's already added, and someone that you can add with more instance inside the dashboard. One cool thing is that every widget have their own settings. For example, this agenda have just the setting for the width, but if I go to the files, it's the same. But if I go to the inbox, for example, we are able to flag the auto refresh and then make in how many minutes the widget need to be to refresh the data. Or, for example, in this case, we have the Power Apps widget. This means that in a widget that are able to embed a Power Apps Canvas app inside the dashboard, you can set, for example, the title, the width, and then the URL of the application. It's the same for the embed widget. We are able to reset to default or change some dashboard settings. This means the height of the row and so on. Or we can discard changes or, of course, save the changes. The cool part is that we can extend in a very simple way the widget that we want to use inside the web part just by using the Power Apps widget. In this case, we embed on a simple Canvas app that it's available just inside the dashboard, or if you want to maximize without leave the dashboard, you can open and maximize the app, and then you can use directly without change any pages. But again, the cool part is the AI. So the first part is here. When you have a small description, a very short description that is generated by AI, by match the inbox, the agenda, the task, and the to-do. And then we can have this just an overview of how many important email I have, how many events need that I have from now to the end of the day, and how many tasks I have to close today. But with this button, I'm able to click here and then open a dialog with the most important part, that it's the separation of daily recap, emails, agenda, and task analysis. You are able to see that the UI, it's completely created in a streaming way. So this means that we send the information on the backend, and the backend send the information back to the web part in a streaming mode. And we are able to create the UI in a streaming mode. This means that the JSON arrive in a chunk, and then we need to, inside the web part, to take every chunk that arrive and then recreate the JSON, validate if it's a correct JSON, and then create the UI based on this JSON. We have the same things for emails. We are able to stop the generation and then restart the generation, for example. And this is the same for the agenda and for the tasks. But let me show you the code. So, of course, I'm not show you all the code because it's a very large project, a lot of files, a lot of code. But the idea is that we have some Azure function on the backend. The function that generate the small description on the home page of the dashboard is this one. So we have a prompt. We have more than one prompt, but the idea is that we need to describe the work that the large language model need to do. We have the part of the object that come, the messages, the event, the task, and the to-do that come from the web part, and then we use the LangChain.js that at this moment it's encapsulated inside one object that we are created, one class, TypeScript class that we are created to manage the streaming by using LangChain and by using the streaming mode of the Azure function v4 in TypeScript. But basically, what we do is the creation of our Azure OpenAI object stream service by passing all the information that they need and then generate the output stream. The cool part is that we can use the Azure function v4 support for streaming mode, and then in case of error, we are able to stop the streaming, and we are able to catch the stop that come from the action into the web part directly into the function by using some technique, very cool technique, and then we are able to stop the generation if the action is to stop or an error. But the cool part is on the client side, because in the client side we created an React hook that contains all the logic to take the streaming the text from the function, and then regenerate the JSON, validate the JSON, and then return the real TypeScript object for the web part to generate the UI. All the types are defined by Zod, because with Zod, it's a very cool library for TypeScript to define schema. And then we can create directly the TypeScript object from that schema. We are able to describe the object. This is the response from the daily recap with a summary and a reminders and suggestions, with the array of string, both for reminders and suggestion, and the description. So we use this schema not only on the client side, but we use the same schema on the server side, because with the description, the LangChain are able to understand the mean of the summary, reminders, and suggestion, and by using these are able to create the good prompt to send to GPT, for example, to understand better on how to generate the JSON response from AI. The last part is regarding the UI. This is the complex React object that contain the daily recap dialog. If you see here, when you, for example, restart the creation, the text arrive in streaming, and the same for the reminders and suggestion, but the reminders suggestion are not just text, but are Fluent UI components. So the idea is to use the Fluent UI 9 to use some cool components like the fade to make this smooth effect on make the visible of the component just when we have the data, and then inside render, for example, on a card with again on a fade if the summary is present, and then on a card either with the summary, and here inside the action some buttons, or on a markdown, because the text result is in a markdown, just if we have the property of the object with an value. If we don't have the value, this means that the previous hook has not generate the property with an value, so it's undefined because there are no part of on the streaming that have value for that property. We are able to hide the control or show in a fade mode with an animation the data inside the dashboard. Just few slides. So what is coming soon? We want to make a part of this dashboard open source. So these are it's a project for one of our customer, but one of the part will be published as open source. This means that we want to release some sample of the Azure function v4 in Node.js to interact with the LangChain, and then return the data in streaming mode as a sample, open source sample. And we want to make open source the React hook that we are creating for manage the streaming of the JSON from our functions. Of course, I need to say thank you to the team. The team was composed by me and Angelo Gulisano, that it's one of my friend, and it's a colleague inside AppV. And of course, thank you. We have some contacts, like my email, the appv.com website, and take a look on the GitHub of the organization AppV on GitHub to the project that will be made as an open source as a part of the dashboard. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Fabio, on that one. Really, really cool. A bit long call today with can happen. So that's all good. So thank you, Rohith. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Fabio. So I will quickly close up the call for today. And next week, we have Victor Villain talking about the introduction of Copilot People Connector, multi-agent patterns with the Microsoft 365 Agent SDK with Matthew and Matt. And then we have also a hackathon winner this time from the Power Platform Powerful Devs hackathon winner, and that's AB and Ganesh. We just got that one confirmed today. So really, really cool hackathon entry there as well. That's on 17th of June. In the meanwhile, please take advantage of our Discord server. AKMS Community Discord URL is how to get in if you are in Discord. Also, please keep on providing us feedback, how the calls are working, useful, not useful, can we improve, all of that stuff. Let us know. Super important for us as well. The recording will be available within 24 hours at our YouTube channel. Typically much faster than that, so it will be there roughly 18 hours or so, and next call already mentioned 17th of June. But that's it for now. Thanks everybody for joining. Thank you for staying also a bit longer today for those who are still in the call. But that's it for now. Thanks everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Cheers. Bye-bye.